And hello everybody, it is I, Lightning Bliss, and I've decided to do something a little bit differently today, this Friday. Instead of doing a critique on TF2 videos, I decided, what the hey, let's do another tutorial. Yay! As soon as I get my tablet responding. Hello, tablet. Tablet, please love me. Thank you. There you are. There's the tablet. Yay! Okay. So we are going to do a wing tutorial, and I'm going to base it off the show style for the most part, but this tutorial can help you to do it for your own style or new styles that you're trying out. But for the most part, yeah, I'm going to go for the show style method since most people seem to be interested in that, and I've been getting requests to do how to draw a wing tutorial. So here we are. Now, for those of you who are unlucky enough to not have a program for drawing art with, that's okay. You can take a pencil and paper, it's just as good. I wouldn't recommend a pen because you can't erase your work with a pen. And for those of you who are asking what kind of program I'm using right here, for the millionth time, I use Adobe Flash CS 5.5. This is a very, very old Flash program. I got this back in around 2009, 2010 while I was in college. I had a student discount, so I was able to get this amongst Photoshop and After Effects and illustration, all those things. And I am unwilling to update my Flash because that would mean I would have to sell my soul to Adobe. They are no longer, I repeat, no longer selling their products anymore. You're basically renting them at this point. I don't want to sell my soul to Adobe. So, yeah, I have an older version. There are other free programs, art programs you could look up. I heard Sony Vegas is a pretty good program. I think it's not free, but it's cheaper. But yeah, for the most part, if you don't have these programs, don't feel discouraged. Pencil and paper works just as fine, and I'm sure you can find cheaper methods of buying art programs. You just got to do the research. But again, you don't have to have the program I'm using. It's totally fine. Pencil and paper is just as good. In fact, I prefer it because, you know, a tablet is kind of wonky to me. Like, I can't control my pressure very well because I use a much older tablet. I'm really, really bad at updating my hardware, I guess you could say, because I just do not like updating, and I don't know how my system's going to take it, so I use what I got. Anyway, on to the tutorial. So we are going to make a wing, and the first thing we're going to do, it's very, very simple. We're going to make a skeleton for the wing. Oh, by the way, if you guys are using Flash or Photoshop, immediately save the file. Save every 5 or 10 minutes or you will hate yourself. Flash and Photoshop love to crash on you. I would know. It actually crashed on me several times during Stamp the Ground. Anyway, so let's get on. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the base of the wing. When I say base of the wing, I mean, so here's the pony's shoulder in the back. The base of the wing will be right around there or right around here, whichever floats your boat. I kind of prefer right around here myself. So now that we know what we're doing, let's get with the base. It's very, very simple. This is a skeleton. Make a tilted half circle. That's all it is. A tilted half circle. And a reminder to those who are using pencil and paper, draw lightly. Don't press hardcore down on the paper, otherwise it's going to be difficult to erase later, because the skeleton is to help tell you where to go to finalize your drawing. And if your skeleton's too dark in lead or graphite, you're going to have a hard time erasing it, and it's going to look pretty choppy. For those of us who are lucky enough to have a program, we can just use layers on top of layers to help us where we go. So for right now, we're using a skeleton, and here's the base of the skeleton. Now that we have that down, we're going to start with the first primary feather that is extending outward, because we're doing an open wing. Wings and hands are kind of similar to some people. However, I tend to approach human hands differently to wings, but we're not doing human hands today, we are doing wings. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the first primary wing line, and it's just extended out. Simple as that. Nothing to it. And now, since we are doing a similar show style, that's usually 4 to 5 wings. So we're going to do 5 lines. That was the first one. Here comes the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now, again, if you do not like where your lines are, you can always go back and erase them. You can always readjust. You can always delete things. It's okay. This is a skeleton. We're not taking the skeleton seriously. The skeleton is just to help us where the feathers are going to go. Now that we have that down, for some of you, if you want to make another layer so we get finalized or the rough draft of a wing, I just made a separate layer because now here's my skeleton. Now I'm going to draw over it. So now that we have the skeleton, we're going to start with the primary feathers. Notice that when I drew my lines, they gradually got shorter and shorter and shorter and shoulder. Shoulder. It gradually curves underneath, kind of like a half circle, but it gets more narrow as you go towards the base. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going to start with the wing feathers. Excuse me that I snip a lot. It's Texas. Allergies are year-round. So, first the wing feather, I should say feather. It's basically an oval. A very long oval. Now that we got that one down, we're going to start with the second one. It's a little bit smaller than the first. And basically repeat the process, keeping it smaller and smaller as you go. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's about where I would like it to be. Yeah, pretty close. I'll keep it. I'll go with that. And now that we have that down, I'm going to use a little innovation here, and this is where it could get a little intimidating for some. But I am going to curve the wing slightly inward. Why am I doing that? Well, because some birds' wings, or in this case, Pegasi wings, kind of work like a human arm. So you have the shoulder socket, then you have the elbow socket, and then you have the wrist socket. And then the fingers extend outward. Hope that explains that a little bit. It's kind of an anatomy question. I had to take anatomy in college just to figure, before I could even go into animation. So yeah, fun. So now that we have that down, I'm going to readjust this wing a bit because I feel like it's too close to the base. Again, remember to all people who are drawing with pencil and paper, draw lightly so you can erase and fix what you want. Again, I'm not perfect. I've been doing artwork forever, and I can tell you based off experience from school and from what I heard from other professional artists, they sometimes have to repeat an art piece over and over and over again, just on one simple issue, over 100 times. So don't feel discouraged if you don't get it right the first time. It takes practice and repetition. Don't beat yourself up. So now that I am more or less liking how this wing's going, I could make these feathers a little bit more narrower or less fatter, but I think it's okay. We're gonna put the inner wing details inside because, believe it or not, there are inside feathers to a wing for the Pegasi of the show. So there's my skeleton again. I am going to create another inline feather that will connect to the tip of the 2 wings here, and then I'm going to repeat, tip, repeat, tip, repeat, tip. Let's see how that looks. I'd say that looks pretty good. Now, obviously, at this point, if you are satisfied with the proportions of the wing, you can now go in and finalize it, clean up your lines, give it more detail, color it, shade it, light it, whichever you prefer. This is basically a rough. If I were to say that, yes, I am satisfied with this wing, I would still go back and fix my line work, obviously. My line work is kind of atrocious here. It's hard for me to do line work perfectly with a tablet because it has its own rules here. I mean, my tablet's old again, and I don't like to update. But yeah, I am more or less satisfied with how this wing turned out. It's doable. How about that? So now that we have an open wing out, we're gonna make a closed wing, and that is probably the most simple step to this tutorial. I'm gonna make another frame, and I'm gonna onion skin this so you can see here's the open wing. Now we're gonna make a closed wing, and since I want it to be proportional to this one so it'll make sense, I've put an onion screen on to match it. Again though, guys, for those who are using pencil and paper, don't worry, practice makes perfect, and again, don't feel discouraged. So I'm going to turn the onion screen off, and we're going to make a closed wing. Very, very simple. Treat it like you're drawing an egg. That's all it is. Start with the base of the egg. Curve it. Start heading towards the tip. Curve. Looks like an egg, doesn't it? And just before you're about to finish it, stop. Leave a gap open because that's where the wing is going to be attached to the body or the shoulder. So here's my pony's shoulder, here's its back, there's the wing. You don't want it to be closed because then the wing kind of looks weird, in my opinion. I prefer to have an opening so it looks like it's attached to the body. So now that we have an egg basically for a wing, now we're gonna make the curved in feathers to give an indicator that this is in fact a wing. And apologize for any background noise. So just like the open wing, it has inside feathers. For the outside, for the closed wing, it's gonna have feathers on the outside too, and we're gonna have 4 because we have 5 feathers that extend out, so we have 4 feathers that are inward. Starting near the end of the line here of this egg shape, we go with 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that I started off small, extended it out a little bit, and then went small again. It curves. Like the egg shape, it's curved. Curved. Curved, curved, curved. Now that we have that down, all we need to do is add the lines of where the primary feathers are going to be. So start it at the top of each loop. Curve. See, it's very simple shapes. Curve again. And notice that it's curving upward down here. Up here it's curving. But down here we need to curve it down to give it a bit of some volume, some shape. So for the next lines, we're going to curve inward slightly. Curve. Curve. And voila! You now have a closed wing. Kind of a half animatic here going on here. Now I would love to show an animation of how flight animation works in wings, but I think that will take a lot more time than I'm ready to spend today. So for now, this is just a tutorial about how to draw wings. Again, this is a rough version. I would have to clean this up and fix the lines, but for the most part, I like in the direction where it's going. Again, to those who are using pencil and paper, remember to draw lightly. And when you feel like you're happy with it, then you could go into details and darken your lines and clean it up and add detail. Like here, I'll add a little detail here just to give it a bit of shading. Don't really need it though, but yeah, you get the idea. So, yeah, that's basically it, guys. Wings and hands are similar, but I specifically have a different method for hands, like I said, and I'm not ready to show a tutorial on that yet, unless anybody's interested. For now, though, I figured you guys were interested in ponies. And for the most challenging of any artist, they say it's the wings. I do not blame them for saying that. Wings can be very challenging. I mean, wings do all sorts of things. You have them flying outward, you have them curved inward a little bit, you have them going down. That's annoying. Heck, there are even times where ponies will actually use them like actual hands. So we have like Twilight here or something, and she's using her wings to cover her face. Oh no! It's wings can be intimidating at times, I'm not gonna lie. But remember that don't feel discouraged if you don't get it right the first time, or the second, third, fifth, 10th, 20th time. Even professional artists will tell you they sometimes have to repeat hundreds of times before they get their art piece down right. Don't feel discouraged. Just keep practicing, and eventually you'll get it down. And if it's something you're passionate about doing, then you will go far. So on that note, guys, keep an eye out for those rainbows. They will make you smile. Bye-bye.